Hello, everyone. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. Today on our show, we are going to have Derek. Derek is from California, but he lives in Seattle. So let's see what Derek has to say. Enjoy the interview.
Well, good
Hello.
morning.
Good morning, Derek. How are you?
Doing good. I was trying originally to make the call in the backyard, but it's a little windy out. So I'm like, darn it, I wanted to show you the view. I'm living with my parents currently, but they're up in the hills, so you can see all far out. But oh well, now you get a blurred background.
Oh my God. In the end, you can just show me a little bit in the end. Is that okay?
Yeah, I can do that for sure.
Amazing. Thanks so much, by the way, to wake up early on Saturday morning for the interview. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Great. I like your hat.
Thank you. I'm going through a full brimmed hat phase. I'm starting to collect ones everywhere I go. I also just got one that has a leopard print on it, but it
Oh.
uh it doesn't show up well in the camera. I
Tell me,
tried.
where are you from, Derek?
I'm originally from Southern California,
Okay.
like
Um,
Anaheim, where Disneyland's at.
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And that's the place where you're born and raised?
I was born in Anaheim and I grew up nearby, but my parents live in Anaheim again. So regardless, I'm from this area.
California.
Yeah.
And what was the best part of growing up in California, in your opinion?
It's hard to answer that question because honestly, when I grew up here, I really didn't like it. But the best parts about California, honestly, are the beach and the fact that you really can go outside any day of the year. I currently live up in Seattle, so I've adjusted to the northwest of the U.S. where it's a lot rainier and cloudier, but I love it. I love being around the forest and the green and everything. But at least when I grew up here, I loved it. It's just too crowded though. It takes too long to drive everywhere, and I'm tired. You get tired of being in a car all the time.
And why the move from California to Seattle?
Uh, it was honestly a long journey, but after I graduated high school, I went to school in Utah, and then I lived in Eastern Europe for a bit. And then when I came back during the summers, I needed a job. So I took a summer job up in Alaska to be a tour guide.
Right.
And every time I'd go up to Alaska, you have to fly through Seattle. It's the only airport that flies up there. And I had a friend from college who lived there, so I stayed with him for a few days before and after every summer I'd go to Alaska, and I loved it. It's got a huge LGBT community. It's very accepting and welcoming as a culture, and it was just beautiful nature. So when I wanted to find a new home, Seattle was just calling to me.
And tell me, what do you do for work, for living?
So right now I'm actually in between jobs. Right now I'm currently delivering and assembling furniture. It's extremely physically demanding. But I know this is a little complicated. I'm only living here in Southern California for a couple months. My
Mhm.
sister's moving up with me to Seattle next month. So I
Right.
came down for a couple months, but working and delivering in this California heat when I'm not used to it anymore has been brutal. But my career that I'm going towards is to be an urban planner. I just got my master's degree a couple years ago. I just finished an internship with the state like 2 or 3 months ago. And when I moved back up to Seattle, that's the work I'm currently pursuing, is in urban planning.
Actually, I'm glad you mentioned that because I made a note here about being an urban planning activist. So, walk me
Yeah.
through a little bit about your career.
So I'm most interested in transportation planning. It really started once I moved to Seattle years ago. In 2016, the city, or sorry, the region, voted the largest light rail expansion in US history, expanding the network by 118 miles and at the cost of $54.6 billion. And I'm only throwing out the number of 118 miles because it's massive. It's not just going to complete within Seattle, it's connecting all of the suburbs all at once. So
Mhm.
it's really exciting. Like the whole region is talking about it. And I don't know, I've just always grown up loving trains. So um I knew I had an interest in transportation planning once I would read the environmental impact statements and the official documents for fun. and then I go to the bars with my friends, and we'd be dancing on at the nightclub at 1 a.m. and I'm ranting about the 5 potential locations of the next Ballard station. So my friend made a good point to me once, and he's just like, Derek, it's great to have someone from our community represent us when it's coming to building spaces for us to gather, helping design our city. We need someone from our community for that. But also, shut up and take another shot. It's 1 a.m. you know. But I'm fascinated with the idea. There's kind of two aspects here. One is giving back to the community that gave me so much. I moved to Seattle and really felt like I felt created like a family of friends around me, which is just so transformative. And so it's like giving back. And the other thing too is I love transportation. I've worked as a bus driver for like, um, oh God, probably 15 years or so.
Wow.
And the idea of just moving people around the region is extremely appealing to me, make it easier to move, especially like I mentioned, growing up in Southern California, being in traffic all the time, and then finding solutions to traffic is something I'm just always going to be motivated in. But lately, in the past decade, I've been fascinated even more with transportation planning because here in the US, they're starting to combine affordable housing projects and the construction of parks and plazas at the light rail stations. So the people who really need to move about the region most, we're giving them housing where it matters most, so they can move about and access new opportunities. And that's just been really exciting. So that's really where some of the activism comes from in urban planning. It's using urban planning as a tool to not just benefit some, but try to find a way to improve the quality of life for all.
Wow, what an answer. Amazing. I can see through your eyes that you really enjoy what you do, this
Yeah,
journey.
I can talk about it a lot, so I try to tell myself to dial it in sometimes because not everybody can know everything that about the subject. But yes, it's something I care about deeply.
Amazing. Okay, Derek. So during the journey, I'm going to explore a little bit more about yourself, about your joys in life, and your point of views as well, okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
But before we start our journey within the magic box, would you like to tell me something that not many people know about you?
The thing not many people know about me. Okay, I'm an Eagle Scout. I graduated from Boy Scouts, and I submitted my paperwork 2 days before I turned 18, which, fun fact, 18 is the cutoff. So
Oh,
I was really rushing towards the end, but I made it, and I can claim that for the rest of my life.
amazing. Very good. Are you ready to go on a beautiful journey through your memories in life and share your point of views?
Yes, let's do this.
Amazing. Welcome to William and the Magic Box. So I've got here my best full of random fun questions. I'm just gonna play a song now just for us to relax a bit before the first question. Okay?
Sounds good.
Let's do it. Yes, you always can join me dancing. Derek, during the join, if it comes up a question that you don't want to talk about, some reason you don't want to answer, we can change. Okay?
Okay.
First question for you is, how would you describe a perfect, healthy friendship?
That's a great, that's actually a great question because for the first time in my life, I finally have a best friend.
Amazing.
um, yeah, so the simplest way I can describe it is someone you could hang out with literally all of the time. Like, honestly, sometimes my buddy and I will hang out and in just complete silence, we'll both be on the other end of the room playing our Nintendos or whatever. Um, it's just nice being in each other's presence because of how comfortable we are. Um, but to get into more specifics, it's definitely communication. There's no fear of discussing any topic or concern. I've been really grateful, being in relationships, for example, when I may have some really harsh criticisms for my partner that I cannot say in my current headspace. I can say to him and he can help filter my thoughts. It's having that open degree of communication, but I also think there's a genuine desire to want to see each other. So I've been big on the principle of, getting back what you put in. So I've been in one-sided friendships, and I have also been the one sided friend myself. um, So noticing that you both are reaching out to each other and there's back and forth flow of communication of reaching out and inviting. I think that's also crucial because it shows you like each other, which is important in a friendship, you know?
Absolutely. And tell me how your path crossed.
Uh, so after I had moved to Seattle, I made one friend like the very first day I moved there. Literally, like just drove my car up there and then went to a bar and made a friend, and it's great. And we're still close today. So about a year after I moved there, I mentioned how I loved Settlers of Catan. I just really love playing the game, and I don't have anyone to play games with. And he's like, "Well, that's perfect. I actually have a group of friends who specifically meet every Thursday to play Settlers of Catan." So I
Wow.
came, and my buddy was in that same group, and so it wasn't, friendship at first sight, but
Wow.
it definitely grew stronger and stronger every single year, and then eventually it came to a point where we were just hanging out like constantly.
And I can see him right now watching this interview and smiling with your beautiful words.
Oh yeah, he loves it when I compliment him because I'm the only person in his life that compliments him. I'm being
Oh, oh,
sarcastic.
you made me believe for a minute. I was like, oh my God. Next question. Hey, Derek from California. Next question is, tell me a negative thing that happened to you that came out as a positive thing in the end.
Ooh, let's see. That is a really good question. Um, I mean, I guess I'll just be on a. Oh, actually, you know what? No, no, no. I'll do this first. So, when I had moved to Seattle years ago, I struggled figuring out what I wanted to do. Um, I was a tour guide. I loved that, but just long term being a tour guide, I don't want to talk about the same stories every single year. At some point, you do hit a wall. And then when I moved to Seattle, I became an administrative assistant, and I wasn't paid well at all. At all. It's like the minimum wage rose, which was great, but it didn't really change anything because the cost of living was already so high. Um, and then on top of that, it just seemed like every job I got seemed to be limited. Like it was limited with a contract or so basically, every single year I was like moving to a new apartment or starting a new job every single year. It got really exhausting. And then something just changed in my 30s where I, started realizing I have passions for things. I wasn't just like interested in everything all at once. Actually, like my interest in a lot of different subjects could be contained, in my field of urban planning. So going back to get my master's, I think has really just been the hugest change for me that came from, I don't know, stagnation. I just really wasn't progressing anywhere. And lately, over the past few years, I graduated 2 years ago now, but I've just felt a lot more drive and excitement and motivation in life again, and it's just really great to feel.
And do you see yourself living in Seattle for a long while?
Yes, very much so. I've called it my forever home. I
Oh,
would be I would be okay with moving, but I will say for now where I'm at in my life, I'm definitely invested in staying there for the long term. I can absolutely make it my long-term home.
how far is from Seattle from California? It's a long way, I believe.
I think by flight it's 3 hours. It's not too bad, but I maybe ugh, I'm bad with distances. Maybe like 1,500 miles because I'm on the opposite ends of the country, so I'm like in the very south of. I grew up in the very south of the West, and then Seattle's like 2 hours from the Canadian border, so
I
I just
see.
literally swapped places.
All right. Next question. Let's do it. Before the next question, when I was checking your profile, there was a phrase there, three words that got my attention. Live
Okay.
life photogenically. What do you mean by that?
Oh, live life photogenically. Okay, so I grew up Mormon, or Latter-day Saint, and I went to the LDS University in Utah, and that's also where I subsequently came out of the closet, which is not accepted within the LDS church. But I kind of lived my life like two lives in a way. Like I had my BYU persona, and then I had my new gay persona that I was exploring. And two of my besties, we would be hanging out all the time. And seriously, like every moment we hung out together, every picture we took, there was always like something staged about it without it being too hard to stage it. Like my buddy would be dressed in like this really nice outfit with his diamond watch that we always made fun of him about, or we'd have like a beautiful background with the mountains or the fall foliage. So there was literally no bad picture that had come out, and people had complimented us. So that's where the phrase came from, is I just started joking around about it. I just told people live life photogenically as if the cameras are always watching. Don't ever look messy or unkempt.
I like that actually. Very interesting.
Yeah.
How was growing up as a gay boy for you?
Confusing. I was very religious, and you know, I wanted I mean, I had a good childhood. I'm not like one of the stories where like things were bad. My parents cared for me. I was a good student.
Hmm.
Um, and on the other side, I had a really hard time um making friends and keeping them. I seem to have keep losing them every single year of school somehow. Some Nothing even super dramatic. So like that was always hard, but it was hard for me to keep friends as well because I didn't like myself. And I would go to church and there's just not much instruction about what to do if you're gay. I would hear how evil it was and how it was one of the worst sins. And ironically enough, I found the least information about it. There's like three scriptures in the Bible that potentially describe it, and then you'll have a whole wealth of thing about like lying or like worshiping other gods. You have so much instruction for everything else, but not this thing that apparently is one of the worst. So it's very confusing. I just lacked guidance, and I was the firstborn in my family, and I always was jealous of other kids growing up that had older siblings because they could teach them the world, and
I
I didn't
see.
have it. I had to go out being this like unsure, confused person and try to find myself. So it took a really long time. And I couldn't talk to anybody about it at all.
Hmm.
It's just if I told anybody or if anybody found out, I just felt like it would have destroyed me. So recently, I've actually been reconnecting with a lot of friends I knew in my childhood. At this point, I've been out of the closet for 12 years. But I've been reconnecting with a lot of those friends and that knew me growing up when I was in the closet. And they say that I'm still the same person today as I was then. And
Wow.
I've actually been taking that as a compliment because I felt, you just remember like the worst parts of you. So I felt like when I was unsure and not feeling like strong and confident, that's actually not who I was when I was around my friends. So I'm grateful that the people that I did meet growing up looked out for me, welcomed me, embraced me, and saw the good in me because I couldn't see it myself.
It's an interesting point you just mentioned now. It made me think now. Imagine how amazing it's for us. I mean, amazing not, but when you grow up, you have those, negative thoughts about yourself. But out there, people they have a totally different outlook on ourselves, and we don't know that. And you just realize again when you just mentioned about reconnect with people when they say that, when they share that. Imagine how amazing.
Yeah.
As you said, it's a compliment because for you at the time, I'm sure wasn't easy, but it's funny how our perception sometimes. But again, when you're growing up, you don't have knowledge. You just live life. You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
but it's interesting. Yep, carry on.
and I had a friend. She's actually one of the moms that grew up in the church that I was in, and she noticed how other parents and other kids at church were been treating me. Not really saying that was bad. It's just that it wasn't like she just
Yeah,
saw the good in me and wanted to welcome me in. And she was even saying too, she's like, as parents, we struggle too. She's like, my son has since come out, and I knew he was gay growing up, but I didn't know what to say or what to do. I tried to invite him to go to therapy, but he didn't feel like anything was wrong with him. And it's just interesting. And, I'm so grateful where we're at now because so many of us have come out and shared our stories and we're becoming more visible. The visibility has really changed a lot. Even within
totally.
my childhood church, I'm noticing a lot of people are very accepting. Like my parents have been very accepting too. It's been a journey, but they're embracing of me and value the relationship that we have. And I think that's the most important thing right there is connection. You know, like I told my parents actually after I came out, I wasn't trying to get you to march in a gay pride parade or change anything about your life. The only reason I came out to you is because I want to share myself with you. I'm more than just my temporary job I'm working or like whatever. I have my entire personality in life, and me coming out was freeing in that regard because I could actually finally be honest. I didn't have to try to hide anything
Absolutely.
anymore.
Great. Next question is, what makes you most uncomfortable about yourself?
Most uncomfortable. Okay. It's a blessing and a curse, but my talkativeness. It has been wonderful for making friends, um, pretty good at keeping friends, and very good at making my friends feel not heard or valued. I have to really appreciate my friends and ex-partners who have brought up the fact that they don't like it when I interrupt them or talk over them or constantly talk about myself. And, I think it's hard for me because on the other end of the token, for example, when I interrupt people, part of the reason why is because sometimes you'll be sharing a story about yourself. And even though I may not have shared that experience, I shared that feeling. And now I feel a connection. So I want to tell you how I can connect. And then we can like talk about it more and grow closer. It's not translated that way for everybody. But to me, it's excitement about building connection. So I've been trying to do better at two things. One, listening, and two, asking questions.
What's your star sign?
Capricorn.
Interesting.
Capricorn Sun, Moon, and Gemini rising.
Next question. All right. Next question is, so far, what is the happiest day in your life and why?
Ooh, happiest day. Oh, actually, I've already been talking about this, but I mean, it really was the first day that I ever said I am gay. I remember it was the day after Valentine's Day 2011, and the only reason I remember the day is because on Valentine's Day is when I had like my breakdown experience and finally like started accepting the fact that I'm gay. And the only reason it happened on Valentine's Day is because all of my roommates were out of the house, so I could actually, be by myself and explore. I slept on it and then woke up in the morning and just looked in the mirror and said, I am gay. And I specifically remember how good it felt to just say it. I felt this like rush of excitement in me and everything. It was the same year that Lady Gaga's Born This Way came out. So I popped my headphones in and I skipped to school because God makes no mistakes and just was singing along to that song, skipping. It was just so transformative to accept that. And I think the skipping is what reminds me of how happy I was.
Do you think your parents knew it before you came out that you were gay?
That's a good question. I would say that my parents could tell that there was something different about me, but couldn't describe what. And after I came out with some time, my mom did admit to me that, putting the dots together growing up, it makes sense. It was the one thing that she couldn't describe.
Good. Ready for another question?
Yes, I am.
Let's do it. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah.
Next question is, talking about family, who in your family you would trade place with for a day if you could, and why?
I trade places with my younger brother. He's in the army in Kuwait right now, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm just really curious what it's like to be in the army and in Kuwait. And he's sending me pictures from Kuwait City, and it's just like the city is just beautiful and pristine, and everything's indoors because it's too hot to be outside.
Oh,
But he's living probably the most fascinating life, so I would absolutely want to see what it's like.
which person in your family you are more close to?
My sister.
Always been?
No. Growing up, I despised her. I'm the oldest, and the next child born was my sister, and she's 5 years younger than me. And I was alone and decently content until I was 5 and she was born, and then attention was taken away from me, and she had a pacifier for too long or whatever. I started being very controlling over her. But after I moved away from high school, she and I absolutely like I apologize to how I treated her growing up. It's just, I didn't value or appreciate her. And we've just been like super incredibly close since. But growing up, I think it was just too hard for me to I didn't want a sister. I wanted to be by myself. But honestly, it turned out for the best.
Amazing. 3 questions left for you. Let's do it. Before the next question, as you mentioned at the beginning of the interview about, you're driving a bus driver for 15 years, yeah?
Yeah.
Tell me a moment or a situation that you're never gonna forget during that time. Something that's always gonna have a special place in your heart.
Oh, there's a lot about Alaska, but I would say one moment would be, do you want it from the job or just from my time up there?
For the job that you're doing.
From the job? Okay, then I have the story for you. So I had just picked up a busload from the Denali Princess Lodge. It's like 250 miles south of the Arctic Circle or something. I probably have that wrong. It's been a while since I've been a tour guide. But we're leaving, right? Maybe about 10, 15 minutes after we leave the lodge. We're driving down on the Parks Highway, which is the main highway that goes from Anchorage up to there. And there's a bus stopped in like on a curve on the highway, and it's a 2-lane highway and it's a curve, so I can't go around at all. I'm like, why is this bus stopped? So first things first, I'm just annoyed. But I'm smart about this. I pull up slowly. Turns out there's a bear right there. A giant grizzly bear just sitting right next to where that bus is.
Oh my
Now,
God.
I was so glad that I stopped. I told everyone, I was like, listen, I know this isn't exactly like DOT approved, but like if you want to come up here and stand close so you can see. And I did get kind of annoyed at the bus in front of us because he was hogging it. He should have just kept moving because there was multiple buses. And I think it's fair. We have an unspoken code as tour guides. We share the sites. It's not just for you. Um, well, while he's slowly inching forward, a second grizzly comes out. And they're just sitting there together. They're like sitting on their haunches, like just like eating, just like this, sitting upright.
Wow.
It looked almost like those memes where you see like the bear wave at you. I almost thought he was going to. And I mean, it was right next to my bus. So all of my guests got amazing pictures. They loved that they got to see it so well. I love that I got to see it so well. I unfortunately couldn't get pictures because I'm in the driver's seat in the middle of the road, so I can't exactly just get out. But um it was so exciting, and like me and the tour guides, we were talking about it like for days after, because it was just a sight that we usually see bears, but they'll just be like off in the distance, not like just sitting right next to the road. Especially when they see the buses, they usually get spooked. I mean, they're loud, right? But they just sat there. Felt like I
Wow.
was at a zoo.
I think they sat down there because they knew that a few years later you tell the story here on the Magic Box for the whole world to watch.
Yes, he wanted to be the subject of the story. You're right. It was his moment of fame.
And how? So it took a while for them to kind of move before you carry on with the trip. They kind of stay there for a while, or they just moved in a moment.
I mean, it was probably like 5 minutes. It wasn't anything
Okay.
super long, but it's just that there was like 6 or 7 buses, and like for him to take that much time. I mean, you really only need to be there for like a minute for everyone to get pictures and all that, and then just move on. But it felt like a while. I put my parking brake on.
Next question for you is what would be the title of your memoir?
It's funny. I joke about this with my friends all the time, and I throw titles around. But I can't, I didn't keep track of any of them. Um, I guess So I do have a favorite word. It's in Spanish. It's adelante, and adelante just means moving forward or progress. And it's kind of been like my value in life. I always want to be moving forward. It's not about not looking back, but just always moving forward, not getting stuck. Um, and I almost want to say like the moving forward line would be my tagline because my life has really progressed a lot over the years and I've literally moved and lived a lot of different places as well. So there's a second meaning as well.
Amazing. Beautiful. Two questions left. Let's do it. Okay, Derek, next question is, what is your funniest memory of your time at school?
Funniest memory. Ooh.
Did you like
Oh,
school?
oh, this one's bad. Okay. Oh, I have two stories. No, I'll do the Spanish class one. Okay, so it's sophomore year in high school. I'm in Spanish class, and our teacher was Senora Munoz. And Senora Munoz is white. She's American. That's important to say because you hear the name and you're like, oh, yay, I'm getting a native Spanish speaker. I'm from California, okay? We have lots of native Spanish speakers. And so I get this white American lady. And her accent, bless her heart, it just was so American. Like it's just almost like there wasn't an effort to put into her Spanish. I was just really critical, as you could tell. Like the way I'm remembering this is like how I felt as a 15-year-old. Well, there was one day, she was like talking or something, or she like read a passage, and one thing that really drove me crazy is she would pronounce her H's. So like in Spanish, when you have like a hamburger, you say hamburguesa, not hamburguesa. She was, or hotel, not hotel, just little things like that.
Yeah.
So I raised my hand because I was going to correct her, which is always a bad thing to do as a student, right? So I'm already starting from a bad spot. But I'm raising my hand, and she always said, if you ever have a question or something to say, raise your hand. She's not answering me. She's ignoring me. Oh, this is why I say it's so bad. After watching videos or cartoons or whatever, and you just have this idea of like how you can communicate Latin America. I'm 15, okay, so judge me based on the circumstances. I just snap my fingers and go, "Oi, señora, hey!"
Oh my God.
I snapped at her and just said, "Oi, señora." She stopped dead in her tracks and kicked me out of class. She's like, "You don't ever talk to me like that. You're going to the principal." And it's the only time I've ever been
She
sent to
said
the
in
principal.
English or Spanish? She said in English or
In
Spanish?
English. It's Spanish. It's Spanish too. We barely knew how to say quiero Taco Bell at that point. So,
Oh my God.
but yeah, she was so bad. And I came and apologized to her later. I was like, listen, I got carried away in the moment, and I wanted to be funny for the class, but I realized it was very disrespectful.
Saying that, what's your favorite Spanish word?
Well, adelante.
Yes, the name of
Yeah,
your
the moving forward. Yeah, I've always just loved that word. Um, Other than that, like I think there's other words I find every now and then that I just find fun and fascinating, but I can't think of one right now.
You always
So
been connected with Spanish language, Derek.
yeah, I surprisingly learned it fluently in high school. I actually speak three languages:
Ah, tell me which one. So English, Spanish?
Spanish and Albanian. So when I was a Mormon
Ah,
missionary, I lived in Albania on like the border of Greece and Serbia.
oh
I lived there
wow,
for 2 years and I still speak it.
that's amazing. Oh my God.
And I
Wow.
actually get to use Spanish in my job. I went to a bakery yesterday and I asked for the sweet bread all completely in Spanish. And the lady, she looked at me and just like looked down and smiled. But then as she was handing me the concha, she was just like, "Oh, qué bien que hablas español." And we just like were talking back and forth. And I'm like, yeah, I get to use it. It's just kind of fun, you know? People just never expect it from me.
And what's your favorite Albanian word?
Or actually, you know what? I'll say my favorite phrase, because
Okay.
that one I can remember better. It's gur gur bahet mur, and a gur is a stone, and mur is a wall. Bahet is becomes. So it's like stone by stone becomes a wall. It's their expression of like step by step. um I think that's our phrase. It's like step by step wins the race, or slow and steady wins the race. Sorry, that's our phrase. But their expression, I love it. It comes from like literally building a wall, stone by stone. You just got to keep placing one by one, one by one, and you'll make a beautiful wall.
Oh my God, I could do a show with you just with your experience over there. I'm sure you have a lot of stories to tell
I have a
there.
lot of stories.
Uh,
Yeah, so my friends
wow.
make fun of me because basically every single time we hang out, I mention something about Albania. But I love my time there, so.
Yeah, I think it's so lucky for us to be able to live in a foreign country for for a while, just for us
Mhm.
to get the culture, and I think that's priceless. You cannot buy that. You cannot rent. You just need to be there and live for you to get experience. I think it's amazing. Wow,
Yes.
very good. Ready for the last question?
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it. Last one. But before the last question, people watch the interview right now. Yeah, maybe they would like to study, yeah, to be a urban planner. Yeah,
Mhm.
what would be your best piece of advice?
My best piece of advice would be to start where I started. I just simply looked online to see what schools teach urban planning, and then I went to the university's website. There's usually like an Ask Us button or something. Free tip, academic advisors, they are paid to recruit students. So if you ever just want to ask questions, and even if to see if the program's right for you, you can just go to any university and just like type in a couple questions, and the academic advisor will reach out to you. I mean, they reached out to me within a week, and I
Wow.
grabbed coffee with her. Luckily, my university was in the same city, but um, urban planning is a very broad field. It's kind of like the jack of all trades, master of none. So I know a lot. I know a little about a lot of things, but not a lot about one thing, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So within urban planning, though, you can go in many different directions. So if anyone would like to pursue it, I would at least just say, just why don't you just go to school and ask a question? They're very good at letting you know what the program's about and everything. Great resource.
Amazing. Last question is, where do you see yourself living when you retire?
I would. My friends and I joke about this, but I want it to be real. I want to live on a commune, like in the northwestern mountains, in the forest, like with the like mist hanging in the trees, and we'll have our farm, and we'll have sky bridges in between the homes. I think that would be fun because I want to be surrounded by my friends when I'm older. I just really do.
Oh,
But I don't know if I could actually live in a rural environment. So I'm weighing odds here.
I'm sure until then, a long journey to go. I'm sure you're gonna find the right, answer
Yeah,
for
exactly.
It's not the end yet. Let's play now the word association game. Okay, I'm going to give away some words. Just tell one word that comes to your mind. Quick thinking.
Okay.
Let's start with fear,
Anxiety,
money,
problems,
love,
beautiful,
family,
a foundation,
sex,
hmm. Desirable,
life,
happy,
religion,
experience,
politics,
um, politics, uh, challenges,
friendship,
rewarding.
desire,
I almost said desirable. Uh, I'll say aspire.
okay, regret,
Lessons,
success.
a feeling.
One word for wish,
Uh, Optimism,
one word for happiness.
enduring,
California, one word.
party,
Seattle, one word.
rain.
It rains a lot there, like today here.
It's cloudy forever, and yes, that includes rain.
It sounds like London.
Yes, it's like that for like 8 months of the year, so whatever, I'm used to it.
It's funny because you come from a very sunny, like place through the year, but it's amazing how we can adapt ourselves and enjoy the place where we are. One word for USA.
Evolving.
And the last one, urban planning.
Community.
Amazing. Let's pretend now I'm going to meet your best friend for a coffee and I'm going to ask him, tell me the most beautiful thing about Derek and tell me something that he still needs to work on to improve on. What we must say.
um I would say that or like if he were to talk about me, he would talk about my perpetual optimism. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going out. I want to enjoy as much of my life as possible, like every moment a memory, if you will. But the thing that I need to work on is consistency. Making a choice and sticking with it. I'm working on it, but it would really help me in a lot of areas of life if I could do that.
Let's play now Derek and the Magic Box and you can ask me a question. But before that, let's play the music one more time. Let me see your moves again. Let's do
Yes.
it. Okay, you can ask me a question now.
Okay, so the question that I thought up of was how do you personally show gratitude to others? It's not just for when they do a nice act, it's just how do you show gratitude in your life?
I love your question. I do love your question, and I'll tell you, Derek. Actually, you know what? I think I show gratitude when someone, for any reason, annoys me or make me feel angry or sad or makes me feel uncomfortable for any reason and make put me in a place to think about, to wonder why I'm feeling this way. I love the
Yeah.
question. Actually, I never thought that, but I'll tell you why. Because we got used to be grateful when we are happy, when we are having the best time, when we are in a
Mhm.
good place. But actually we forget sometimes, or sometimes we don't realize how important it is to be grateful and have a lot of gratitude when we feel sad, when somebody, what I mean, treat us in a place that we are not expecting, or we make challenges somehow. And I think actually I started to work on it, and I wasn't think about that, but I started to not to judge when someone makes me feel uncomfortable or sad, or I try
Yeah.
to put back some gratitude to it, because for some reason, there's if someone is making me feel sad or put me in a situation that I'm not comfortable with, there is a reason behind. But maybe sometimes not about themselves, about me, because I'm controlling my feelings. They're
Yeah.
just maybe being themselves, or maybe acting a way that they just feel like. And the way you take it, that's about you, how you take that. And if I talk in a way that makes me feel uncomfortable or sad, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back with gratitude, because I'm challenging myself. And that's how it exercise yourself to. I like the question, Lex. I love the question. And
Yeah.
yes, that's my answer to you. And actually, I've been realizing that, like, for the last, not long ago, because again, when you feel sad or when someone do something that you're not expecting, for us, we just put ourselves in that world of negativity, of sadness, and you don't see a bigger picture. You don't challenge our feelings. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my answer to you. Yeah.
No, and it's just like what you were saying. It's interesting when I ask you about gratitude, you actually start thinking about what you wouldn't expect people to talk about, right? And like I encountered that a few years back when I actually had one of my friends pull me aside and criticize me, told
Hmm.
me what I was doing that didn't make him feel valued. And again, I ended up feeling grateful, very uncomfortable to be criticized
Absolutely.
and to listen. And I wanted to be defensive, but I stopped myself and just listened. And honestly, I really had to appreciate it because I have a hard time seeing outside of my own actions. So
Absolutely.
showing gratitude for your friend to be honest with you, even though it can be hard, there's gratitude to be shown there as well.
I love that. And it's so true, you know, and I think true friends, and when they, I know our friends, they are so lovely, they're so nice to us that for them, I'm sure for them it's hard to put ourselves in our place sometimes. Yeah.
Yes,
But
yes.
when they take the courage and they do it, you know, I love that because I know it comes from a good place and I know they meant that and it's just for our, you know, well being. So,
Mhm.
yeah, good one. Before we go, by the way, thanks so much for the interview. Thanks for bringing your positivity, your attitude here to the show. Amazing. When I approached you online, you always been very sweet. And I, you know, you're here. We just made memories now. And before we go, if you can show a little bit of your view that you wanted to show in the beginning of the interview, if it's possible.
Yeah. Um, so you asked me to find a quote, and I thought of a quote because this one has literally driven my life. It's "We must be the change we want to see in the world." I just love that premise. You know, there's oftentimes we look at the world and people can feel hopeless, and you know, it's for valid reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I'm trying to take it from a different perspective. You know, if I want to see more kindness in the world, I must start with being kind myself. If I want to see more respect, I need to show more respect myself. Like in how I talk to people, even online, you know, it's like I want to try to live those values. I don't want to seem like I'm angry all the time because leaving religion was hard.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I've tried to find positives out of that and grow from it. So yes, we must be the change we want to see in the world. You know, the change starts at home with us. And if we are living our values and also being honest about when we can improve as well, I feel like that's where the change is actually going to start. Not just hoping that things will change, but actually starting with yourself.
And if I may, I'm going to just add something to this lovely quote. I think as well, smile every day when you wake up, go to the mirror and smile to yourself. Trust me,
Yeah.
it's gonna do a big difference in your life. And it's so simple, but it's so powerful. You know, just
Hmm.
smile, as you said, like just smile to yourself when you're in the mirror, you know, talk to you. It's so amazing talk to yourself, you know, and smiling to you is a sign of peace, like you're sending peace, as I said, to yourself first. So you're gonna be able, when you
Yeah.
go out there, to send all this beautiful peace to the world as well. Okay, if it's easy for you just to go and show a little bit, if it's not a big thing, is that okay?
Yeah, definitely. Let me first I need to figure out how to unblur my background. Okay. Because yes, we're up in the hills of Orange County, so you can and it's actually been pretty clear lately. So let's see if I can get the camera to adjust.
Oh my God, I can see
Yeah.
already. Oh,
And you see all the mountains back here too, and
wow, that's
yeah, it's just
beautiful,
a beautiful
Derek.
view.
Wow, what a beautiful day. My goodness, you're so lucky.
Yes.
Thank you
Well,
so
thank you
much.
very much.
Thank you. Enjoy your day and you keep in touch, okay? It was a pleasure. Thanks so much for that. It was
It
a
was a pleasure as well. You take care.
take care. Bye bye. Take care. So, did you like the show? Don't forget to give a like, to share it, and also don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And if you'd like to be part of the show as well, first, subscribe to our channel, and after that, just go to our website www.williamandthemagicbox.com and send us a request saying why would you like to be part of the show. And I see you there. Bye bye. See you next time.